Welcome to the Choosing Happiness Crusade. This is your host, Linda Joy, publisher of Aspire magazine, and I'm honored that you have joined me today. I am super passionate about this series because, like myself and so many of my amazing guests, we've discovered that happiness is a choice. And even in the midst of life's messiness, which is going to come at you no matter who we are as individuals, we're here to say that it is possible to choose something different. So joining me today is I'll tell you, a dear friend, a soul sister, an amazing visionary woman, Laura Clark, known as the Soul Wise Living Mentor. And I apologize, I'm going to look over to the side for a moment because I want to do justice to Laura. So Laura, which we'll be discussing today, overcame decades of depression by embracing her own spirit and following her own intuition, which is a sacred gift that she now shares with her clients and friends like me. She now teaches a unique blend of spiritual awakening tools so her clients can hear their own inner wisdom consistently, understand it more clearly, and act upon it more courageously. And I think that's a gift we all need, is to have a little more courage in our life. By doing so, they discover how to lead an inspired life filled with joy, happiness, and abundance they ever imagined possible for themselves. So, Laura, welcome to Choosing Happiness.
I'm so excited to be here with you because choosing happiness is such an integral part of who I am now, and it's such an easy thing to do once you've mastered it. So I'm so glad to be here to share that with you and your listeners.
Well, you and I have had many personal conversations, and I know your journey, because
Mm.
you've been an inspiration in my life. And I know that the topic we're going to be talking about today, depression, and how it relates to choosing happiness, is a topic that can serve so many women. I've suffered from depression in my past and have many family members to do the same, but your story, I mean, you were in the depths of depression at such a deep level. And today you're all about joy, happiness, love, being of
Yeah.
service and inspiring others. And so take us back because I think contrast is great. They see you
Sure.
now in this joyful spirit, but take us back to that moment when things weren't so joyful for you.
Oh, which moment do you want me to take you back to? I grew up with a mother who had depression, and I always said, I am never going to be like her. And the more I said never like her, the universe heard like her. And so I think the first time I ever felt it, really truly felt it, was in college. You know, when you start beginning that being courageous enough to leave your house and begin to be your own self without the guidance of parents. But really, it full blown suffering, and you do suffer with depression, I believe that, happened to me in my early 30s when I was in the midst of a stellar career that was going fabulously. And the thing about the suffering was that it was alone. So people will see me joyful now. In that career and in that life, they saw me happy, not joyful. And I think there's a difference. You know,
Right.
I would go to work, have the smile on, do my job, interact with people, but I wasn't vibrating with love and joy. I was just being, because that's what you do when you have depression. You go through what you have to go through. But I would crash at night. I'd go home and I'd just sleep on my couch. And that was my life. Get up, go to work, come home, crash, rinse, repeat. And no one knew what happened outside of my own home. And that's what I want people to get, is that if somebody suffering from depression has a knock on their door, they will answer it and put on a happy face.
Mm.
But we never know what's going on behind people's happy faces. And that compassion we can hold for each and every person that comes into our life is so incredibly important for people.
And I love what you said because when I'm thinking back, that's how I felt. I always felt like others couldn't see past the mask I was wearing because I wanted to give the illusion that, hey, I'm cool, I'm good, I'm happy. But underneath there was so much pain. And but I was so so used to hiding behind the mask to give them the illusion that I was happy, that really that mask disconnected me more and more from my truth.
Yeah.
So I really get what you mean about um, at work you existed. They thought you were happy, but really on a vibrational level, as you said, it just wasn't there.
Yeah. And there's a big disconnect. And when you put on a mask and you can't see yourself, let alone anybody else see who you are in truth, and you're vibrating lower, you're not attracting really great experiences. You're not attracting the correct partners to be in your life. You're not contracting with the universe to have all that you deserve to have in this world. And that is something that I want to make really clear for people is that when you vibrate higher, you attract things to you. So it's not about the car, it's not about the great life, it's about being. It's about
Mm.
vibrating in a way that you can be that all the time. So you opened up with the introduction of, life comes at us. And, there are potholes and there's mud and there's some deep crevices that you fall right into. And I experienced a lot of that just this past year. And it was really hard for most people in my life who were sharing that experience with me to see me so joyful. And I questioned it. I'm like, what? I'm going through something really tough, really challenging, and I'm happy. And it was the most miraculous thing to experience because when you're in that space of being happy and choosing happiness, no matter what you see around you, you can get through any of those dark times.
Laura, I was able to witness everything you went through
Yeah.
and the Facebook support, um, about 6 months ago. It was beautiful to see, but also from someone who knows you so well, I was like, whoa, look at her holding the vibration for herself, right? And for your
Mm,
situation, which was wrapped around loss and some fear of
yeah.
things that would happen in your life. But what happened is your community started coming in and you would capture them lowering the vibration like, Laura, don't worry, things will be good. And you're like, I'm not worrying, I'm staying in my joy and happiness. And
Yeah.
I saw you and I was holding this space that was so sacred and so beautiful because I knew you. I knew what you were going through, so I knew the pain, I knew the
Yeah.
loss, I knew the fear that could have taken over for you.
Yeah.
And you made, this is the beautiful part, you made the choice that that wasn't going to be the vibration that you grabbed onto during that time. What a
Yeah.
gift. What a gift you gave your community.
Thank you. It was a surreal experience in the people would say to me, "Don't worry," and I'm like, "Don't tell me not to worry because then you attract that." And I loved their support and their compassion. They were doing it in the way that they could do it for me, and I appreciated that so much. And I allowed their worry dissipate around me because I didn't want to take that with me during this journey, this period of journey. And what I discovered was through 20 years of healing process from the time that I had that deep, dark depression is that all of those experiences in my life, truly, I believe this wholeheartedly. All of the experiences in my life, the loss of my mother, the loss of a love, a significant love in my life, all of these things were really just setting the stage for that one 8-day journey that I went through last fall. And in that period, it was, oh, yep, yep, I can go down this hole, but I am not going to because I don't want to do that for the people who were needing my support. And I didn't want to do it for the loved one that needed my support. I wanted to stay in beautiful vibration, whatever the outcome, whatever the outcome would be. Um, and it's about that courage to choose.
Yeah. Yeah, and your words just resonate with me, and I could feel my emotion coming up because it was such a divine gift for those who know you and love you on the outside to witness it, because and knowing that, we're writing a book about choosing happiness, and we're having a series about choosing happiness, and I said, Laura is living the epitome of making the choice to be happy, even when everything around you created a story and circumstances that
Mm,
you could have chose otherwise.
yeah,
You could have went into the story, went into the pain, the loss, the depression, because you have it every right to, but you
sure.
chose differently. And that's
Yeah,
what this series is about, to say, you don't have to become your circumstances. You don't have to become your story. You have a choice. And if
yeah.
if this whole series can just say, get that one fact in front of people, I mean, I think we've served someone.
Yeah. And if we just serve one person, Linda, and I know your reach is going to be
Yeah.
far, far further than one person, but if we serve one person so that they can get through a very challenging time with taking the courage to know that our thoughts are simply our thoughts, that our emotions are simply emotions, but our soul deep down is joy, it is light, and it is love. And when we step aside from the humanness without losing compassion and without losing connection, but we can step aside from that humanness and hit our soul, we are joy, we are light, we are love. And that's where the choice comes in. It's the choice of not becoming our thoughts, not becoming our emotions, but living as our light and living as our joy.
It's so true. And through all the stories and all the women that are sharing and bearing it all in this series, I've noticed a thread, Laura, and the thread is they all had one pivotal moment in their life that choice was made for them, that they wanted something other than what they were living. And in your case, it was, you were in a deep depression. Bring us back to the moment when everything changed for you, when you knew there was something else waiting for you.
Sure. I think it was my first spiritual breath. No, I know it was my first spiritual breath, which I took, what, in 1992? And I was born in 1962. So I was 30 years old. And I was working with a psychologist to come through my depression. And nothing was really, he was saying, do this, do that, wonderful man, do this, do that. And he finally looked at me and he said, take a breath. And I did. I went, and he went, oh no, take a breath. And I did. I went, and it took us an entire hour for me to get to, I hadn't been breathing for 10 years. And it physically hurt my rib cage. And I exercised, I would be walking, so I had cardiovascular health in the whole 9 yards, but it still hurt my rib cage to take that powerful spiritual breath. And I started crying and hyperventilating. I'm like, there's hope. It was like, oh my God, if I can just breathe like this, there's hope. And when you have hope, you have everything.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing through that too is you call it the spiritual breath. And the spiritual breath is like the essence of life. It's like as you learn to open up and trust, because really that's what it was. You were so closed down and restricted, right? That as you opened up, it was like you were connecting with the essence of life.
Yeah, yeah. And it was really, I went home that night and I cried and I cried and I cried and I practiced what he taught me. And I, like, okay. And he said, just 5 minutes every hour, Laura. I want you to practice for 5 minutes every hour. And I went back the next week to see him and he's like, take a breath. And I did. He goes, whoa. because it was such a different person just in 1 week. And certainly there were more spiritual awakening tools that I've used and crafted on my own along the process. But it was within that week where I went from deep, dark, suicidal depression to there's light, there's hope, and there's happiness.
What a gift. I mean, for everyone listening, because, so many of us struggle with depression, as you know, and there's all different levels of it. It's just knowing there's something on the other side. When we have that knowing, it helps us and empowers us to hold on to hope, as you just shared. Now, could you have ever imagined that day, that first day laying or sitting in his office, the day you took your first spiritual breath, that flash forward, what, 20 years, 22 years later, you would be doing what you do now, inspiring and empowering individuals on their journey to take in their spiritual breath, awaken them to the tools that they have at their fingertips. I find that that's so amazing to me is how our lives unfold, that what
Mhm.
we thought was our darkest days was really preparing us so we can use our gifts to serve others. So
Yeah.
do you giggle at that sometimes,
I
that your
I
darkest
think that
days?
all days, because since that point in time, I've gone through evolutions of life, evolutions of careers, and now I sit and I go, well, if that's where I've been, I am so curious as to where I'm going,
Oh, yeah.
because it is this power of light that inspires each of us, and it doesn't mean you have to change. I haven't changed. I'm not a
No.
different person than I was in 1990. I'm just more me. I'm just more able to be me. I'm able to take off that mask we were talking about at the beginning and see myself for me, let alone for anybody else, but in seeing it for me, and I'm able to share it with other people. And that is the biggest gift that I've been given, is to be able to share how you can do that.
I love what you just said because it's so true. So many people over the years have said, Linda, you've changed and grown so much, and I have your line of thinking. No, I haven't changed and transformed. I've removed the shit that
Yeah,
kept me from shining my soul light.
yeah,
And but the essence of who I am has always been here. And so I love when you said that because it took me a lot of years to realize I'm not someone different. I'm just more of who I was always was meant to be at my core.
yeah,
And when we release the stories, the pain, the layers of, and all the false masks that we take on to exist in this world, I think that's what people see. That's what they resonate with. Like I'm blessed to attract women like you into my life, women who I have so much love and admiration for, but I wouldn't have been able to do that if my own soul light couldn't connect with theirs.
right. Absolutely. And that's what's so wonderful about living this journey of happiness, is the more you choose it on a monthly basis, it becomes weekly, and then it becomes daily, and then it becomes
Yeah.
hourly, and then it just becomes, and you are this happiness. And then, and I don't want to say only then, but when you're not doing that on a consistent basis, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing, you know? And when you can start embracing the choice of happiness, so much becomes so much easier for you. Even the hard stuff, the shitty stuff becomes joyful because you see the blessings in it quickly and easily. And you understand that things are happening for a reason. They're not happening to you, they're happening circumstantially. And you can become a sacred observer of that and bring that happiness into that space. When you can do that for your partner, when you can do that for your children, when you can do that for your colleagues, when you can do it for your clients, whatever, whoever you interact, when you can do it for your pets. I'm a puppy mom.
Mm-hmm.
When you can do it for your pets, it's just I'm going to cry
I
because
know.
it's just such a powerful way to live and to share light and love. That's what this world deserves, and that's what your listeners deserve.
They do. They deserve it for themselves, for their families. Um, and because you and I have met so many people who have claimed happiness, we know it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just you. It's not just me. I
No.
mean, people say, Lori, but it's you. And I'm like, no, it's not me. It's everybody has this power. It's a divine right that you just have to tap into. And it's in here that we are our house for this happiness. And it's inside. You can't find it by driving a Ferrari, by living in the big house, by having the great, wonderful romance of a lifetime. You find it in here. And then the feelings of driving the Ferrari, the feelings of living in the big house, the feelings of having that romance and the great career come to you. And it just layers on and it's beautiful.
It's so true for me. That was the greatest insight, one of the greatest insights I ever had. That after 30 or 35 years, you and I are the same age. I was born in '62, also.
Yeah.
Um, for probably over 30 years, I was searching outside myself for happiness. I'll be happy when I get the great guy, when I find what my life purpose is, when blah 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 blah. And that's what I hear from so many women. Well, Linda, I will when I hit six figures, when I get the house in the suburbs, when I find the great guy. And I'm like, are you going to throw your life away? You can be happy right now in the moment where you are with what you have because it's here, honey. It's not out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And it's really it's interesting for me to be involved with a lot of entrepreneurs who are following this journey for themselves and to be coaching a lot of them because we teach what we need to know. I believe that as
oh,
teachers
yeah.
we teach what we need to know. And the more I teach this, the more I realize this is the moment. Right now is the moment. I could be sitting here talking with you and then thinking about the calendar over here and what I have to do tonight and then this weekend I've got this big thing coming on and it's spring, I got to spring clean and blah 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 blah. And then you ramp up all these thoughts and these emotions, but I'm not here with you in this moment because this moment is sacred and this moment is always safe. There is nothing to worry about right now in this moment.
No.
And that, when you can do that and be that, it just is so awe-inspiring for yourself and for others.
It's so true. We are always so projecting ahead,
Mm,
or worrying about the past or projecting into the future. Those two habits are what cost us our happiness. But as you just so eloquently shared, when we can stay in the moment and stay in the sacred presence of what we're doing, whether it's a conversation or a chore, then we're lined up with our happiness. We're aligned with that feeling of um, being the essence of who we are.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's when you go back, when I go back from this point for the past 20 years and I sit there, I could go, gosh, I was a real a-hole to that person at that period of time because I was trying to protect myself. I can go back going, I made that wrong choice. I would be so much further ahead right now had I chosen to do that one thing. I'd be living somewhere else. I'd be doing something else. And you just sit there going, I woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Why bother? Just take the lesson, put it into yourself. Don't be the a-hole. Learn to live from your light and be compassionate in any circumstance. Speak your truth and be here. Take those mistakes with a hyphen, miss hyphen take, and take them over and do what is divinely in your path for the next highest good, the next step, the next process. And that's that being, that allowing yourself to be yourself.
It's so true because so many of us, in it was one of the biggest burdens. I carried a lot of shame, high school dropout, runaway, welfare mom. I carried a lot of that shit around for a long time.
Yeah,
And,
that's heavy.
and even though I've been on a spiritual journey for 25 years, I probably didn't release all that shame until probably, I'd say 6 to 8 years ago. I mean, fully release it. I know I've been releasing layers of it. But Laura, like you said, the moment I did, it was the essence of me. I could connect with her. I could feel my soul. I could feel the lightness of spirit. And I said, oh my God, all those years I wasted carrying around the regret of, maybe I should have finished high school. It is what it is, people. It was part of our life experience. And
Yeah,
you know what? Now, like you, Laura, I look at my life right now and go, okay, Divine, I get it. I get why you wanted me to have all those experiences so I can
yeah,
have empathy, compassion, love for every other woman on the journey. And that's what I hear from you too, Laura. It brought you to this more loving, compassionate place in the work that you do with clients as well as your friendships.
yeah, yeah. And go back to the journey of loss that I went through last fall. Being able to stay in that moment and say, I know this is happening for a reason. I don't know what it is, nor do I have the time right now to look at that. Right now, I have a goal, a job, and I'm going to be in this moment and I'm going to enjoy this moment, regardless of what I may see in front of me.
Yeah.
I am going to enjoy this moment knowing that positive results are happening. And, we look at positive results, and the result last fall was, in most people's definition, not positive.
Mm-hmm.
In mine, it was extremely positive because I know why they happened. I saw while they were unfolding the reasons. And I could say, I trust in this. I'm happy. I know the journey is being unfolded as I speak, and I know why. And I'm blessed to have this in my future. I'm happy right now. And when I could do that, it released all of the, well, if I had done this, if I had done that, if I'd gone here, if I'd gone there, the circumstances would have been different. Circumstances were going to happen. They were
Yeah.
divinely contracted.
Exactly. I believe that. I believe.
I could not have changed the circumstances. I could change how I was going to live through them and with them and make the choice to be happy. And by doing that, it allowed so much of the guilt that women take in from an experience to be non-existent. I didn't have any guilt. I didn't have any challenges. I just was able to be.
What a place.
If I had not done the work over the last 20 years, I'd be I would be bedridden again with depression over the woulda, shoulda, couldas through that journey. And I choose not to, and I choose to be happy. And that, in essence, is what your book is about, with all of these amazing stories, that no matter what we see around us, things are happening for a reason. When we access our inner light, that happiness comes forward,
Yeah.
and you can breathe through any experience that you have.
And it's so true. And as I shared, witnessing you go through that within this, sacred Facebook community of yours, and just witnessing the hundreds of people
Mm.
who also witnessed it, to me, them being able to witness your journey while you were living it, while you were experiencing it, and staying in your truth was your spiritual gift to them. Does that
Mm.
make sense? So
Yeah.
the, so everything did happen for a reason because it was all to serve a higher purpose.
Yeah.
And so, like you, I believe that we don't always like the circumstances of our life. That's when our ego steps in, and we are all
That's
going to suffer loss, pain. trauma, victimhood, but we still all, and we sometimes we can't control that. It is outside our circumstances, but we always have full control of our essence and how we respond and react to those circumstances. So today you
Absolutely.
shared so many really powerful epiphanies for me about how we can stay present in the moment and choose happiness in that moment. And you've already shared so many inspiring insights and tips, but is there something you'd love to leave our listeners with as we come to a close of this sacred conversation?
I think I'm just going to go back to take a spiritual breath. Let yourself know that that is a thought you're having, and it may not be accurate. It may be guided by what other people are telling you or by your emotions, that your emotions and your thoughts do not define who you are. And when you can slow down enough to take a good, deep, cleansing breath and say, I am light, I am love, you will absolutely make the next best choice for yourself. And you will absolutely be able to step into that space of choosing happiness.
Well, thank you so much, Laura. And I want to invite everyone right to the right of the video is the little button that says claim your free gift. And Laura has a sacred free gift for you. Laura, want to tell them a little bit about what they'll discover when they download your free gift?
Sure, it's an audio download. Maintain your courage in the moments of self doubt, because we do self doubt ourselves. We are human beings. And it's about how to stop that chatter in our head. It's about how to allow emotions to happen, but not define you, not live by them. It's about how you can ground your body so that it stays strong and vibrationally high. And it takes you through that process that I teach my clients.
Well, thank you. And everyone, all you have to do is click the button to the right of the video and it will be on its way to you. Thank you, Laura. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone, for
Deb.
being here. Choose love, choose joy, and choose happiness.